Hello everybody, this is Hybrid,
And this is WhiteSheep.
and today we'll be bringing you our Amazing Spider-Man trailer number 3 breakdown/analysis.
Long awaited. We've been trying to get this one done for a couple weeks now,
Yes.
but we just haven't been able to sit down and record our thoughts.
Yes, and we have a script, and then for all the people hating on our Dark Knight Rises trailer breakdown thingamajig, watch this and prepare to
Hopefully.
for the redemption, I guess you could say, since everybody hated it so much.
Yep. All right. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right. Our first little note comes at the 14-second mark of the official Marvel video, I guess, on Marvel's YouTube page.
This life is not easy.
The 14-second mark, you see what looks to be first person and a fairly electric blue in the Spider-Man suit.
Which is interestingly to note, as the Raimi Spider-Man films had a darker blue.
Yeah, it was
Yet
navy.
it was more light mooded compared to what this seems to be. So
It seems to be like very bright blue, and I also like Hybrid was saying to me earlier, the suit's growing on us. We do
Yes.
like the design of the suit. I still feel like Andrew Garfield is he's probably going to be better playing Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire was. I feel like Andrew Garfield more fits kind of the image of the comic book Spider-Man to me.
yeah, and also this, I guess you could say, confirms the fact that there will be first person during the movie.
Yeah, that I remember because the first trailer that ever came out for this, I remember thinking, "Hey, this looks like Mirror's Edge. Wouldn't the game like Spider-Man Mirror's Edge be really cool?" But
Yeah.
You know.
Good stuff.
All right. 15 seconds in, you see a skateboard. That's interesting to note, as Peter Parker in the comics was a bit of a nerd. Didn't skateboard.
Yeah, it seems like they're going for social outcasts more than being a. Well, I guess you could say, was a nerdy outcast in the comics, but they don't really show his nerdiness that much.
I can just imagine that Reddit is going to jump all over this because they absolutely love people that call themselves nerds that aren't really nerds.
Yeah.
Moving on. Number 18, the Lizard is attacking Spider-Man.
Yes, and they're both scaling / crawling a wall / ceiling. So that pretty much confirms the fact that the Lizard will have claws, which was kind of hinted at when you saw the teaser poster with claw markings on Spider-Man.
Now, I'm not the hugest fan of IGN, but I do put some stock into their reviews, and apparently they got a pretty extended preview of this movie, and they say it feels like it's really good. All the actors kind of click. They're excited for it. So they also noted that the Lizard, while being bulkier than Spider-Man, can keep up with him. And so that's what we see here in multiple clips throughout this trailer.
Right,
And that's the
Oscorp
Oscorp building. And
Well, we noted a few things. One being it kind of has a double helix look to it. Another, it kind of has as the building, I guess, not majors, but specializes in genetics. It kind of has a cell-like thing going on there.
the little
Very similar to like a cork cell
hexagonal
if you
cells.
do biology. So
It's pretty interesting. It's pretty neat architectural design. I think I was a little bit inspired by the people that put that together. But here also, I guess this is 21 seconds in, or not 21 seconds, 23 seconds in. You see 23 seconds in, approximately there. You see Spider-Man holding a car, and I don't know if you guys have seen the extended scene that was released, but he saves a kid from a car, and it was
pretty neat.
It was really neat.
Reminds you of Batman Begins when he had to take off his mask, kind of, to convince the kid to go with
Batman
him.
Begins or Beyond.
Sorry, Beyond.
I was gonna say, but I thought that was really cool, just the whole normal guy thing.
It shows
I
his
do like
strength.
that. This also, it's because Hybrid was mentioning to me earlier in the Raimi movies, we never really saw Spider-Man's strength
Every
displayed.
once in a while. Spider-Man 2
Wasn't really
showed
showcased
it pretty much.
that
Like
much.
Spider-Man 2 is pretty much the only real movie that showed he has the proportionate strength of a spider.
But here, I just don't feel like they ever did anything like this, where it was kind of to this extent. You see how strong he is. Now, if you watch the extended scene, he doesn't hang on to it that long because he knows he can't.
Yeah, it breaks too.
But this is
The weight of it just breaks him down.
But this is just a really cool sequence, I think. Moving on.
Yes.
29 seconds in, you see Peter sitting in what looks like a part of a sewage system.
Yeah, but it's interestingly to note, is he making a trap? We don't know. Like, obviously,
He's obviously spinning a web.
Yeah, you can't make this in like a second. It takes a while.
Yeah. So it could be a trap, but it also could be, I feel like he's discovering his powers. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like he's being cautious, so...
Yeah, he's looking up, looking around like he's looking for something. Moving on at 32 seconds, we see Richard Parker's Oscorp name tag.
Yes, interestingly to note, I guess, I don't remember any other version of Peter Parker's dad besides the Ultimate Comics, with him being a scientist.
Richard and Mary Parker, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., dog.
Yeah, that's why I remember them being as, like agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, not really scientists. So maybe they're borrowing some from the Ultimate Universe, but also, interestingly to note, it says he works for Oscorp staff there, and he was part of the genetics laboratory.
Yep. That will actually tie more into the story than previously thought. And Here you see Peter's parents leaving. 36 seconds in, you see a web shooter. The actual, I guess, video thumbnail for Hybrid's web shooter breakdown. I think it looks really intricate for something that they're doing for a movie. It's just very, like, lots of little clockwork elements of it.
Yes.
Also, it's pretty cool looking. It's much smaller than the little toys I got from Target as a kid with the Spider-Man web shooters.
Yeah.
But
good stuff.
It actually is. And Hybrid has something to say about the, I guess, some comments that we've had about
the shooters.
Yes.
I believe that he will have to insert pressure to fire them, similar to how in the comics he has a system where when he puts the 2 fingers down on his palm, only he can supposedly shoot his web shooters or someone of similar strength or greater, because he uses his super strength in his hands or fingers to press down at it with such force that the pressure is just really immense and it just shoots out. So, but here you see him pressing down on something from 2 different ends, which theoretically, I guess you could say, would put a lot of pressure if he's pressing on it really hard. And also you saw the red thing in the middle spinning.
Yeah.
As well. So it kind of makes you think, is he
loading a web cartridge?
Is he putting pressure in it? Is he loading a web cartridge? What?
Yeah. I mean, because obviously he's probably not shooting it like that, because then he would be only able to do one hand at a time.
Yes.
But, so maybe he's loading it, maybe he's unloading it, something like that. But it is really an intricate setup. Now moving on, you see Spider-Man with a knapsack in school, kind of walking around in the hallways. I like that they're doing high school again.
Yes.
Because
most of his adventures were high school.
Of course, that's where he started out. I doubt that was one of the things I didn't like about the Spider-Man movie, was even when I was a little kid, I wasn't too into the comic book thing, but I knew that Spider-Man started in high school, and I was like, what is this?
Yes, what is this?
It was a little crazy. But moving on, cops, Spidey, talking to Gwen Stacy. And then 52 seconds in, you see what looks to be a taser gun. Because he kind of sets up to a wall, and you see a little electroshock, and also some of the weapons the cops were holding there they looked like they had a blue glow. So
yeah,
I don't know. Lots of gun-related violence in America. Maybe they're trying to tone down on that. Is this an ideal world, Hybrid?
Well, yeah, but then again, also there's a lot of cops going around. Obviously, they comment that in the video. Peter jokes, "Oh, maybe that's a bit excessive," stuff like that. But why? Like, are we sure they are hunting him down to kill him, or maybe just to capture him? Like, because that's what it seems like so far.
Well, and then there was the other trailer where Captain Stacy says that he wants the arrest. He's issued a warrant for the arrest of the vigilante known as Spider-Man.
True, and then they have the scene where he gets captured, and they show him breaking out. So yeah.
You see also 3 seconds later, he's wounded, and it could be that it's near the end of the movie because he seems to have several semi-severe injuries. I don't know, the content of that dialogue, though, makes me think it's a little bit earlier.
Look at that, Emma Stone.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that surprised me most, was that as a redhead, she wasn't playing.
Well, she's blonde, naturally.
Not really?
Yes.
Huh. Looks good as a redhead, though. Moving on. We get a little Spider-Man Raimi yell here.
Yes.
When his wings web slinging.
8 seconds, really.
It looked pretty cool to me. I do like if that's a little homage, or if that's just, hey, I mean, I know I would let out a little whoop if I was yelling, because that's just me. Or if I was, swinging from building to building. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And you also have him doing kickflip, right?
Yeah, he does a kickflip or a couple times right here. So once again, that whole skateboarder Spider-Man thing, maybe trying to get him to appeal to a wider audience these days. I don't know. At 105, you see he's. This is actually, I felt like this was kind of a tribute. I personally felt, just given the nature of this, the oh, you found my weakness, small knives. I felt like that was a little tribute to Neil Patrick Harris, who voices Amazing Spider, Spectacular.
It was in the Spider-Man, the animated series.
Yeah,
like the new animated series that was on MTV, I believe.
Yeah, he voiced Spider-Man. I felt like that was a little joke or a little tribute to Neil Patrick Harris. I don't know. Maybe it's
he's
just
being jocular about it.
Yeah. But he is very comedic. I like that they've included that. Also, you see him using a little bit of momentum for the web shooters here.
Yeah, it's interesting to note. He kind of uses momentum when he's firing them off. So maybe
Also,
that's a part of it.
Another clip released has him doing various funny things, like webbing him when he's sneezing, acting like he's throwing out a baseball. Moving forward, we see maybe a web cartridge at 116, maybe a prototype, and then you see the web kind of shoot out at him.
Yeah, you see he's holding like this
malfunctions.
little silver thing. Maybe that's a web cartridge. And then also you see which is most likely a prototype of the whole web shooter in general. He's kind of testing it out. He has glasses on.
Yep.
So this might be actually before. Well, I doubt it's going to be before he gets bit, but who knows? He's still wearing glasses.
Yeah, you see exactly the web kind of sticks on him.
Oh, I want to know. I like how it has a very silky look to it. The films in Raimi's film, they didn't really have a more natural silk look, but more of like a weird, hard, gooey-ish substance to it. So I appreciate the kind of more organic look to it.
It's interesting because you would think that the whole organic webbing thing that he had in the Raimi movies would lead to a more natural thing, but
yeah,
it's the nature of special effects. Moving on, Hybrid is going to go off on this one. Richard Parker's whiteboard.
Oh my god. My nerdness levels. Oh yeah. So, as you see on 119, you see a little kid. He looks really pale, which goes into, if you go to 119 / kind of like to 120-ish, with Richard Parker erasing kind of angrily on the whiteboard. I believe that Peter Parker might have a disease, or he might, as a child, have been sick. And the only real way to kind of find the cure would be through a spider genome. As you see on the board, it says arachnid genome.
Delivery agent. So maybe it's a delivery for a cure?
Yeah,
exactly. Arachnid genome. I mean, he's got adrenal gland here, extraction point, something.
It says augment on kind of on the bottom.
I assume this is a web fiber up at the top right. But moving forward, I mean, finding out, because apparently there was a rumor released a couple weeks ago that Spider-Man, he would not have been just bitten by a spider. He was designed that way, and by his father. And I kind of took my excitement level down a notch, because I mean that's a big change to an origin story. But it's going back up there with recent glowing reviews about what people have seen so far.
Yes, and also
so if they do it well, good for them. But
it also seems like a kind of theme or motif, whatever you want to call it, in the film is finding like a cure for something. Dr. Connor's case, finding, I guess you could say, a cure for his arm, or maybe a replacement for it, a way to grow it back. So, maybe that's what's going on. And also, if you saw the whiteboard, it mentioned something about a cross species, and just, yeah, so many ways you could read it, so many ways you could nerd out on it. And also, there's an organic chemistry kind of thing going on, which is, if I remember correctly, because I looked it up later, it's not the obviously kind of atomic structure, I guess you could say, or not structure, but whatever for spiders, but for their silk. So it's also a neat thing as well.
All right, moving on, you see a spider in a jar.
Possibly
that looks quite a bit like the spider that ends up on
him,
his suit, his little decal there. Moving forward, Peter, someday you'll understand.
Yeah, but it's interesting to note, he looks kind of like weak.
He does. He looks very pale and sickly. And maybe that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of it that way before, but maybe his dad wasn't just making him Spider-Man for kicks.
Yeah, because the way he was kind of erasing on the whiteboard and everything, he looked like he was in a rush, like there was a time constraint, and a father wouldn't just mess with his kid for the
Who knows?
hell of it.
No normal father. But my new theory on it is that, kind of combining what me and Hybrid think, Peter had a disease that could only be fixed with an arachnid genome, and it ended up fixing the disease. He ends up fine, but when he gets bitten by a spider, it has a kind of unforeseen effect. I don't know. It could
possibly the spider that bites him is the same type that he got his genome from.
Moving forward, you see Dr. Connors talking to someone here, and I noticed this man is wearing a suit. A lot of people have suggested it could be Norman Osborn.
Essentially, it seems like it might be at the end of the movie, though.
You see, Dr. Connors is back to normal, but looking a little disheveled, and it looks like he's in prison. So, this could be Norman Osborn coming to check up on his former employee. Moving forward, you see at 1:30, the cops rappelling down. That's a pretty neat scene. And then a picture here, actually interesting to me, that I pointed out. In the scene where you see them comparing DNA, that comes up in a couple seconds. You see right here, it's a picture of Rhys Ifans and the guy that plays Richard Parker, and Ifans, as Connors, only has one arm, or he's missing his arm, and I like that they're actually doing the comic book thing with him having, trying to regrow his arm.
Richard Parker's son.
Yeah, right here you see them comparing DNA. A lot of people don't know which DNA this is.
Yes, I believe that either they're comparing the DNA of Peter to maybe the spider per se, or Peter's DNA to a normal human's with his blood type, just to really see what got affected, how maybe that could transfer to Dr. Connors. Maybe, who knows, maybe they're looking at the DNA between him and Dr. Connors.
Yeah, but right here was where I noticed that Connors also was typing with just one hand, or one arm.
Swag.
And that's what I noticed. I was like, that's a little bit of a funny angle. And so, they are doing the comic book thing where Dr. Connors will only have one arm, and his goal is to just regrow it. Right here you see him injecting himself with some sort of
Oscorp thing.
Yeah. And then he transforms, and he seems a little more lizard-like than he did a couple minutes ago.
They seem to be in a convenience store, though, which is interesting.
Yeah. He also seems a little bit cut up there. And he has what looks to be scales.
Then around 146, you
hear them talking about a biological attack.
Yes, but that seems to be, the blue thing seems to be the cure.
That's what I'm thinking.
The green thing seems to be the biological virus or attack, whatever you want to call it, the weapon.
And the lizard various times in comic books tried to make more lizard people. So,
Yes.
That's
lonely.
That's his MO. You see at 149, Spider-Man's spider sense and his reflexes. And that's a scene a lot of people have, that's the scene that I particularly like, because he kind of does that flip over thing.
It shows kind of what Spider-Man's really famous for, to a sense, which is his speed and reflexes. So I like that, considering the fact that the lizard can move his tail around very, very quickly.
And here we go. At a 158, you see a fight in a school that had previously been rumored. That's, of course, Stan Lee coming out and saying that he will cameo as a librarian who doesn't see the fight going on because he's jamming out to music the whole time. But I particularly like this sequence because it looks like... I originally wanted to say that was upside down, but now I'm not so sure. I think they are fighting on the ceiling.
Yeah, because you see lockers and then buildings, stuff like that.
But yeah, this goes back to the whole IGN thing, where IGN was saying, hey, despite Connors being, a good couple feet taller, he can keep up with them.
Yes, in the words of Spectacular Spider-Man, when he saw the lizard crawling on walls or whatever, or ceiling, if you start spinning webs, I will sue.
Moving on, Spider-Man in a train,
Yes.
and then Peter working on the formula.
Yeah.
I would like to point out something. This, to me, just in terms of the holographic display and how the fingers are linked to a central point and how all the fingers act as like little touch things, dare I say that borders on Stark Trek, or Stark Tech.
Star Trek.
Stark Trek.
Yeah.
Stark Tech. It does look very similar to what Tony Stark was using in the movies to control his workshop, I guess.
Yes, it's interesting.
Of course, they being made by Sony, they can't really do that unless Marvel. That's his left hand, Josh, over there in the corner. That's thumbs here, left hand.
Yeah, I know. I just found it interesting. I thought it was nice to note that it seems, if you look at it from like a quick glance, that he's working by himself, but it seems actually that there's another person working with him. And since Dr. Connors has no right hand, you could see actually a left hand working.
That's what I was trying to say.
As well. So yeah, good stuff. It's probably the same scene we mentioned earlier,
where they're comparing the DNA, because you do see the two different strands, red and blue.
Yes, and I believe this right here is actually a different scene.
And this looks exactly like Star Trek as well. So maybe Star Tech as well, because you see what I mean, that's just very similar to Iron Man. Maybe Marvel kind of has reached a secret deal with Sony.
That'd be great, and
that would be awesome.
Also, it's a thing to point out that maybe this is Peter Parker making the cure, and I say that because of the fact, if you look at it as like mode, sequences, display, blah blah blah.
Up at the top of the screen, or at the left of the screen.
Yes, but then above that it says sequence loaded, -helix modification accepted. So
yep. So
maybe even they're making the whole lizard serum in general.
Who knows? That might be. I think that kind of gives some more evidence to the Connors Parker comparison that we mentioned earlier, with the fact that it says DNA sequence loaded, helix modification accepted. I mean, I think that could be, Peter's DNA trying to graft it onto Dr. Connors, maybe to regrow his arm. Who knows?
Who knows?
I think the whole lizard thing started with the lizards regrowing their tails, though.
Yes.
And apparently, as released in this movie, Dr. Connors will have made some remarkable advancements in limb regeneration technology. So maybe he's trying to, test it out more fully
on himself.
Yeah,
that always goes well.
Of course. Moving on, spiders. A room full of spiders. Would never catch me in there. But
I love spiders.
It kind of goes back to Josh's theory that the spider that he gets bitten by might be the spider whose DNA was given to Peter to cure his illness, supposedly. More shots of the lizard.
And that's essentially it for our breakdown.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.
We are really excited for this.
Yes, and please, if you like the video,
comment, subscribe.
Yeah, if you like our stuff. Let's see, I guess, check out our other videos.
Yep.
Tell other comic book fans you might know to watch it.
To subscribe to us.
Like it. And as always, this is Hybrid.
We want to be famous. And this is WhiteSheep.
Thanks for watching.